Dance around the moon every night, and now my eyes are open wide, and the sky has never looked so bright. And I don't need to see the road to believe, yeah. 'Cause this is where I'm meant to be, I believe. And I feel the magic everywhere. It's all around us, it's in the air. And I see the magic we can share. So much wonder everywhere. And I feel the magic, can you imagine? And I feel the magic, can you imagine? And I feel the magic.
I feel the magic, and it's the magic of Monday evening. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Jean, and to my other viewers. How are you this evening? Oh, that's fabulous, Jean. Thank you very much. Hi, Michelle. I hope tonight is equally as enjoyable. I'm never sure of how it's going to go, or rather who's going to arrive to share in the excitement. Hi, Lisa, welcome. I do have a topic this evening. I did ask, and part of this came through as the answer. But then we have surprise visitors, and we all enjoy those, and sometimes we don't. So it's great to have you here, Jean, Michelle, Lisa, and let's see what takes place. I have had communication with Jesus Christ today. He, oh, that's beautiful, Jean. Lovely. Hi, Karen, just in time. Yes, I did have Jesus Christ come in today for a healing session, and as always, the energy that he brings is indescribable. I mean, obviously it's divine, but the feeling as he comes through and as I feel it come through my physical self is indescribable, simply divine. So maybe we will have a few words of wisdom from Jesus Christ, although the topic that was raised with me is one that is very likely he is who answered me. I was doing some work this morning, preparation of some workshops and topics that I would like to share with everyone. And I asked a question. My question was, how do I use language that aligns with my work? Now, that might sound really strange to you, but the thing is that in the last year or so, I have been prompted many times to use soul language. And soul language is powerful. Soul language is what I call whole words when we have a look at the way language has been used and misused over probably hundreds of years. I couldn't tell you when it began, but a long time ago. But I will say that in the last 10 years, there is a lot more focus on using words that are not whole words. So you say to someone, "Are you unwell?" Or they get told they're unbalanced, disproportioned, disrespected, inconsiderate. You know, everything with that little pretext to it, that little beginning. These are not whole words, and they're therefore not soul language. When we use words that have all of those little pretexts, we are working from the mind and very much being in the conditioned environment. So somebody said to me yesterday, "It's a terrible, terrible world. Everything is terrible in the world." And I said, "Would you expand on that, please?" And they were quite disgruntled, and said, "What do you mean by that?" It's an awful world. And I said, "Well, I would like to understand more of what you mean by that." "Well, everything in the world, it's awful. There's so many people having difficulties. There are so many people sick in the world. There's so many people unhappy. So many young people with drug and alcohol addiction and abuse issues. And there's just awful things everywhere." And I was silent until they said, "Well, don't you have anything to say?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do. What I'm going to say is I can't agree with you." They were not, "Oh, hi, Kim Jane." They were not impressed with my response. So then it was on to me to explain why I say it's not a horrible, horrible world. And I chose my words, and I also asked for guidance very carefully. So when we look at the play on words and the way that words have been even redefined. See, I'm deliberately using these kind of words to have you think and catch what it is you feel when you hear them, because you know what? You actually can't feel with your senses, with your intuition, with your third eye, anything when we are using these words that are deliberately designed to hold you in the mind and hold you in a place of being out of alignment with your higher self, with your soul. We say, that was very noisy. We say disconnected. And in the spiritual realm, there's a lot of reference to being disconnected. Well, you can never be disconnected from your soul, from your spirit. There is another word, distracted, but that is actually a whole word. Or is it? What do you think? So what I'm going to ask you to think about after we finish tonight is to really think about the way you use words and the way that you use words to describe how you're feeling, or when you're talking about anything, what are the most common words you use? And you will find that there are common words that you use. The answer I received to my question was, how do I use language that aligns with my work And the answer was talk to the soul. Great. Talk to the soul. Okay. So what is soul language if I'm going to talk to the soul? Well, the soul only knows pure joy and full love. We say unconditional love. Now, is that a whole word, a soul word, or is that one of these meddled with words? Would it not be better for it to be pure love and joy rather than unconditional? Because when we use the word unconditional, the mind already sets into play, there must be conditions. And this is the trick with the words. When you are speaking, thinking words that have those polarities, those opposites, it is only ever speaking to the mind, and it is creating a situation where the mind then goes into overdrive with fear, overwhelm, fret, worry, panic, and it pulls up all of the false beliefs about this world and false beliefs about life. So here's some phrases also. My question when I was preparing for you tonight, to expand on this topic of soul language, I had a couple of ladies come to my door this morning, and they said they wanted to know if I had found a drone in my backyard. Pardon me, a drone. And they went on to say the lady's son had got a drone for his birthday and it crashed and it looked like it was in your backyard. I said, is that right? And then they thought maybe it was over my fence. But they were pretty sure the drone looked like it was in my backyard. So I invited them to come through to have a look at my backyard, because my backyard is actually taken over a lot by trees from our neighbour. We love it. It gives us an amazing privacy. It gives us an amazing backdrop when we are sitting out in our backyard. And I've actually asked Gary to create a walkway that has an arch from the tree branches, and I call it my secret garden. Truth be known, the crows love it, and the crows spend their time in there. And that's another topic that came up. So I thought nothing much of, there's many trees, and that's what they thought, Kim Jane, many trees. I thought nothing much of it until I was getting ready for tonight. And I thought about privacy. Privacy and connected. Where do we draw the line? There was a phrase that came out about 3 years ago. We're all in this together. And that was hammered to people for a reason. Then there's the other one, we're all connected. All one. There is one universe, there is one creator. We are all one and we are all connected. Then there's only one you. You are unique. You ought to be independent. It's very important in your life you be independent. So which is it? And how do we work with this from a soul perspective, a soul level? Who says there's one universe? Where does that come from? Who says there is one creator? How would the scientists know? The technology that, yes, and then there was no together. The technology that we have only goes so far. the humans on this planet so far are not that clever that they have the technology that can go beyond the black hole or beyond what they believe they can see. So, privacy and connected. As a soul, we are all connected to the divine, and we are interconnected. There's one of those words. We are connected with each other, but are we all connected? My question is about privacy and connected. Where is that line drawn? So let's put this in a spiritual context. I'm going to go to church. So we go to church and everybody is there supposedly for the same reason, to come before God, to come before Jesus, to unite with others who you are connected to. And whilst there, you go into prayer. And I know we used to sing hymns. Do they still sing hymns? And that creates a unity for everyone there. Prayers are done on many levels, and prayers are said for unity, for alignment, for those that are sick, for those that have passed. Maybe they're done because it is Easter, so it's respective to Jesus. And then what happens when everyone leaves the church? Where do they go? What do they do? Then skip forward to modern spirituality. We'll go to a meditation circle or a big sound healing circle on the beach. So everybody has come together for the same reason, or have they? But they're all going to sit in a circle and they're all going to be led through a meditation and enjoy the sound healing, the sound vibrations of whatever instruments are used. During the time in church, during the time in that circle, everybody's energy twines in together, melds in together, because everyone is on a particular frequency. And I'm going to say they've raised their frequency because of what they're there for, be it healing, be it peace, be it for help with a grieving heart. But what happens when they go away? What happens when they leave those situations or those events? They go home. Sometimes they might go to work. And what happens then? A new level of connectedness comes into play. A new facet, or rather a new mask of that person is projected, because you're not the same person at work as you were in the church, as you may have been in the circle. Are you with me? So this business of all in this together, all connected, we're all one, begs some questions. Would you agree? What is the intent of that message? That we are all one and we are all in this together. What is the intent behind that? Where do these messages come from? How inquisitive are you? Do you stop and look at these things and ask these questions? Is connectedness being connected to the one being humanity? Has that really come from a place of God's light or Christ's light? I've never heard it said from there. Maybe in the church, although maybe I've got a couple of church-going people, you could say whether or not you've heard them talk that way. I know I certainly didn't when I've been to church, when I used to go to church, and when I used to go with my gran, and I do remember those days. Yes, Lisa. These phrases and words are not used to speak to your soul. They are used to create a different level of what might be called consciousness, another word that has been used, manipulated in recent years. When we look at people like Mother Teresa, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and I'm sure you could rattle off a few more of these, what are now considered to be ascended masters. Were they going around telling everyone you're all connected? Were they going around saying we're all in this together? I haven't read it anywhere, have you? When you want to align with your own divinity and you want to align with the divine, which for me is God, you don't turn up to his doorstep and say, hey, dude, can we be connected? Am I connected? Am I in this with you all together? Do we? No. When we want to be aligned with our own divinity, which heavens knows enough people have trouble doing that, being aligned with their own divinity. And that is because of these other phrases, and also because of your privacy being removed. Now, why is privacy important when it comes to being aligned with the divine and with your own divinity? Well, your prayers, your life has an element of privacy to it. Your soul is not an open book for everybody else to snoop through. Your reasons, your purpose of being here in this world to incarnate for this human experience is because you have an agreement between the divine and your soul. You don't have an agreement with every other human or whatever on this planet. That's different, Michelle. Great question. Thank you. Hi, Linda. How are you? Welcome. It is human nature to be connected because we are not an island on our own. So I was just getting to that bit about when we incarnate, we have to have certain people in our life, certain other human beings in our life who are going to assist us with our growth, our expansion, our alignment, assist us with the what they call lessons, the experiences. We call in people that are going to pave the way for our lessons. That includes disappointments. There's one of those words. Who pinged it? Disappointments, unhappiness. There's another one. Discord is another one. unbalanced. There's another one. It is human nature to want to connect heart and soul. Being told you are all in this together and we are all one is different to being naturally drawn to, call in, line with your soul, and can assist your soul in this lifetime. You thinking about that? I hope you are. The core of tonight's talk is to bring you to a higher level of awareness when it comes to language. And the reason you have privacy and why privacy is so important. Should someone be able to be flying a drone over your house, over your backyard? Now, some people have the stupidest sentence, oh, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't have to worry about it. Well, I wonder how they would feel if that drone came into their bathroom or into their toilet. There is an aspect of human being that requires privacy, and that includes your own thinking. You know, sometimes the reason people fall into such deep stress, fear, overwhelm, panic, anxiety is because there is far too much of other people's connected putting in their 20 cents worth, maybe 50 cents. And this is what creates a lot of the issues. So, privacy in your life and you having your private conversations with God, with Jesus, with your soul is always enriched, is always full of richness because it's private. What your soul yearns for and what your heart yearns for is nobody else's business unless you wish to share it. And what happens when you most often share things? If you're sharing something that is very full of joy because there's some exciting news you've got, then yes, that is wonderful and you're sharing that. That is about something that has gone on in your life. It's still about your life, right? So looking at being able to align with your heart, with your soul, needs you to be able to do some serious looking inward and really looking at the words that you use. Remember, this came off the back of me asking, how do I use language that aligns with my work? And the answer was, talk to the soul. So I'm going to flip that back around to that conversation about this being an awful world. And all of the examples that were given to me to illustrate this awful world couldn't be more far removed from the fullness of the soul. I said some weeks ago, imagine if all soldiers and all military people downed weapons and said, no, not going to war. how much impact would that have on peace in the world? Now, if we're looking at mainly first world countries, as they're called, who are instigators of war, and when we look at the history, it was used to be kings that wanted to go and take somebody else's kingdom, because they'd be sitting up on their mountain and decide, well, that looks really good over there, I want that. And they would take it at any cost. What's that? That is not of the soul. That is greed, pride. What's the other word? Selfishness, egomaniacs. So throughout history, mankind has been his own worst enemy. But imagine if we turned the tables and there were more people who spoke as Mother Teresa did, as Jesus Christ did, as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. All of these people were individuals. And look at the change they brought, to the point they've become a legacy. They've become, noted in history. None of them were interconnected. None of them we're all in this together, because none of them were together at the same time. Do you follow? But they were one person who knew how to work with the soul. And they touched thousands, tens of thousands of lives. One person. But they didn't use words like this. In fact, they didn't manipulate words the way that they have been in recent years, and certainly have been over the last 10, maybe 15 years. I heard a friend tell me the other week how their dog had to be desensitized. There's one of those words, desensitized. And I said, you what? Oh, yes, it stops them barking. You've got to desensitize them. Is there power? That's it. Thank you, Karen. Is there enough people in the world to see through this and see that this is what brings humankind to its knees? These are the sort of things that destroy what the human being is really about. And the human being is a divine creation, a spark of radiance of God. So when we look over people like Mother Teresa, Jesus Christ, and so on, that have become ascended masters, so it's said, turn that around and think, what would happen if all of those in the military said no? Imagine back in the day when the king was going to take another kingdom, if all of his soldiers said no. But what does it come down to? Why won't they? What would happen to the first one that spoke up and said not doing this and walked away? What used to happen to those that refused conscription? What would happen is they would mysteriously disappear, or they would be used as an example and their life would be taken in front of others. And that's how you make people do atrocious things and make people follow someone who is a megalomaniac for power. So how do you contribute? How can you contribute to this world? You can contribute by the way that you communicate, by the way that you align with your own soul, with your divine self, and with the divine. Because if you remember my example of the church and everyone together and the meditation healing circle, at those times, everybody's energy field, I beg your pardon, it's very possible that not everyone's energy is raised or shifts frequency during those times. But let's say the majority of people there are in a different frequency. And that frequency has a ripple effect and will go out and meet up with others who are doing the same thing. So you could be in a church in Sicily, in a church in Perth, in a church in the outskirts of Melbourne, Brisbane at the same time. And as that frequency raises, it meets and mingles. Then what? And that's my question to you. Then what? What happens after that? Where does that energy go? Where is it translating to in the communities, in the world? Because if we have a look at the places that are called uneducated, that are referred to as third world, lots of things go on in those countries that we don't hear about in first world. And there is a lot of, yes, it does, Kim. There is a lot of genocide. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that we do not hear about unless you know someone that has gone and worked in those places. So that wonderful energy, that frequency that goes to such a beautiful high level, how do we transcend that to those kind of places? And I'll bet you're thinking, well, I'm just one person, and I'm going to remind you, so was Mother Teresa, so was Martin Luther King Jr., so was Jesus Christ, so was Mahatma Gandhi, and there's many more, right? They're just one person, but they knew the importance of connected to their own divine self and the divine, and what they could do one person at a time. Look at the number of people that rallied to stand with Martin Luther King Jr. You know, that was absolutely incredible. Now I see an image in my mind's eye of the one person who stood in Tiananmen Square on his own, nobody to back him, and he walked up to that tank. Do you all remember that? It's one person. So tell me again, we're all in this together and we're all connected, interconnected, but at the same time, you're unique, you're an individual, you need to be an individual. You have, yeah, amazing, wasn't it, Lisa? You have an individual soul for this lifetime. You have an individual soul, end of story. And your soul yearns for you to be aligned. So my message for you today from via Jesus Christ, via God Almighty, and I did have the presence of Archangel H.E.A.L briefly today, but she was here for a lady that was seeking guidance. The greatest thing that stands in mankind's way is his failure to be in that space of unity with their own divine self and the divine. It is in that space that all healing takes place. It's in that space that peace, serenity, and calm is. It is only through our language and the way that we converse that can actually create a gap. And it's interesting that I use the word gap, because if you were to go into what Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about, the gap between the words, between the sentences, that's where there's bliss. That's where you can slip into the nothingness that is absolutely beautiful. But you can't live in that nothingness space because you incarnated for a reason. So what will be your legacy? What will be your mark on your soul? You thought I was going to say your mark in the world, but I'm not. I'm asking you, what will be your mark with your soul? Kim Jane mentions our souls yearn for this. Therein lies the challenge, she says. Yes, indeed. You can leave a legacy for when you leave this world, and you could very well fish into that and find out, what would I like to leave as a legacy? And it just could be something as simple as people remembering you as someone who was always kind, because kindness is needed. And kindness can be in short numbers, shall I say. But you may have a bigger legacy that your soul is looking for. So you're going to begin with words, having a look at where you sit with privacy, where you sit with principles, boundaries, and connected. What is it that you are most connected to? Is it to your mind and the outside world, to the noise, the demands, the expectations of the outside world? Or is it to your heart? That is also a challenge, right, Kim Jane? And I don't mean that as Kim Jane personally. I was waiting for her to go, and there's another challenge. So when we are looking at living a life that is rich and full through our soul, we need to know how to talk with our soul, and then how to hear its message back again. And when we sit in a space of being being caught up in the outside world, we cannot hear our heart or our soul. So what does it take to get there? I'm going to ask you first to begin with your own language. Michelle, you mentioned, isn't it human nature to be connected? Did my answer help? Is that a clearer expression of the use of the word connected in tonight's presentation. We could say that there is an excuse or an agenda for being connected. You know, this world is all about polarity. So everything has its opposite. So for the beautiful soul that was telling me this is such an awful world, there simply has to be the beautiful world, because there can't be one without the other, not in this realm. And that's the good thing about this realm. Thanks, Michelle. Glad to know it. So every time, now there's gems in that for you. This world is light and dark. This world is what we determine as good, bad, right, wrong. These are the polarities, and that's what this world duality, what it's all about. So anytime that you're looking at something that brings you to a place of fear, worry, overwhelm, anxiety, fretfulness, anything like that, pause and remember there must be the other side. So when there is something that is troubling for you, you need to step away and really check in with what message are you sending yourself by your observation of what you believe to be true over there, and flip it over. This way, you become the light in the world. This is how you can affect the beauty and the balance. Not the beauty and the beast, the beauty and the balance in this world. And in a way, not to use her name, but in a way, you would become the likes, kind of, sort of Mother Teresa, Lord Jesus Christ, Mahatma Gandhi, and Martin Luther King, and all the others that have gone before them and after them. You are unique. Nobody has the same soul, the same spirit as you. You do, however, connect with other souls, other spirit, for the lessons, for the things you need to do, or sometimes not, to do in this world, in this lifetime. So how you go forward and how much of your uniqueness offers the world wonders will come down to your alignment. So I'm inviting you to talk to your soul and use language that your soul aligns with. Pure joy, pure love. All of the things that are created here and that are most often created by the light and dark of humanness and other beings can be viewed as an opportunity of growth rather than stagnation or really being pulled away from your soul. Yeah, see the bigger picture to surpass the friction of daily turmoil. And it is daily turmoil too. If you're someone who goes to church, make church in your home. You know, the again referred to as the third world people, and yet they're the ones who have beautiful places of blessings at their gates, in their home, and they don't miss a beat. Why not make your home your church, your sanctuary? Make your car your sanctuary. Your car is, after all, an extension of you. And if you're someone who goes to the meditation circles, sound healing circles, bring that energy home with you. And how can you keep it going at home? Well, you could put some music on, or you could hum. Did you know that? Humming is actually an immediate response by the soul, or the soul has, an immediate response to humming. Humming also is a way of settling the central nervous system and creating an opening, a door opening to the soul. So you could hum around your home if you're the person who goes to the sound healing circles on the beach, meditation in the park, and so forth. You could also stand on a beautiful piece of lawn in your yard and just immerse yourself. That's how you be that same energy, that same frequency. And then you learn how to send that out. And you can send it out to specific people. You could send it around your neighborhood. Have any of you done those practices where you begin to use energy and you send it around your house, and then you send it around to your neighbors, and you send it around to your neighborhood? So it might be your block, the hood, might be your block, where your street goes around. Then you send it out to your suburb. This is working with energy. And that's how you maintain your centeredness in your soul, privacy, and real connection. How beautiful is that? And what a beautiful world you create by being the likes of one of those ascended masters. I'm not saying you're going to be an ascended master, just as I would say I can't make you a medium. I could make you a large. I know what kind of food to get you to eat to make you a large. So freedom, expansion, ascension, love, unity, joy, these are all the things the soul knows and yearns for. It's very hard quite often for the soul in this physical body because it becomes so very restricted. And because of that, it feels like it doesn't have any freedom, when in fact that is a fallacy. So really begin to have a look at where your alignment is and where you're sitting in your own relationship with language, and see how much of your life changes. Oh, that'd be a lovely idea, Kim. Create a diary of your worth, current identity in this path. Oh, current identity, that's interesting. That's interesting language. So, what are your thoughts on that, everyone? Share with me a few words, if you like, on the messages from tonight. I want to mention, while you're thinking and writing, I want to mention Jackie, who can't be with us tonight because she's actually in the air flying. And again, we send out prayers of love, compassion, and strength and support as she received the news that a young nephew has left this world. So we send lots of love to Jackie. she'll be watching when she's greeted the family and has a chance to settle down. Yeah. Linda, you might have missed the start of the topic. How did you go with tonight, Jean? I hope it was insightful and helpful for you. Yeah, you can just send beautiful vibrations out to the neighborhood. You might use the words peace, calm, kindness. And yeah, you can send love if you want to, but there's some other things you can offer. Past church girl, Sunday Christianity. Oh, wow, Michelle. I think a lot of people would be able to agree with you, not about yourself, but about themselves when they really have a look at it. It's very different, isn't it, to align with yourself rather than that one day of a week. It is a great feeling, isn't it, Karen? It's so good for you. Thanks, Jean. Glad you enjoyed it. Alrighty, everyone. I will bid you good night and look forward to seeing you next week. And I thank you for joining me again tonight. It's been fabulous to sit with you. And yeah, take good care of yourselves and have, what are we, only Monday night? So have a fabulous week, and I'll see you all next week.